Hello, I am Zingoni, and this is my colleague Oriana Gil Perez. Today we're going to talk to you about a pilot study that we did in Venezuela, that it was about expanding service learning projects in design education beyond the classroom. And part of the question that we asked ourselves, this was when Oriana was working in her graduate thesis in architecture. We were asking, what is the role of education in developing agency in our underserved communities? The literature review on service learning projects indicates that it's extremely beneficial for our students and develop lifelong learning experiences for them. It also highlights the development of empathy, informed judgments, and responsive actions. And we did this project that was a participatory design at the intersection of a design build that is a pedagogy very well used in architecture education, this notion of service learning projects, and Edit Studios. Edit Studios is a pedagogy that I developed a couple of years ago that has as the first phase engaging the community, then designing with the community, implementing to eventually transform the community. And as I mentioned before, design build studios have been very well established, and the values that they have for our students are many. Among them are the integration of previous knowledge of design and construction, becoming better prepared for the real life of work, and increase of confidence. And in general, design build studios can serve as a base for synthesis, integration, and transformation of knowledge through teaching and project execution. But for us, it was a lot more than just teaching the students architecture. It was this notion of empowering others to succeed, right? The quote of Lao Tzu that talks about teaching a man to fish. It's this notion that you will feed them for life. And that's basically what we wanted to do with the students of architecture that we were working in Venezuela and with the community that we were working in Venezuela. So this binational collaboration was between two universities, the University of Tennessee, where I am the director of the school right now, and the Arizona State University, where Oriana was my graduate student when I was a professor there, and the Universidad de Oriente in Venezuela. And together we work with nonprofit organizations in both continents, in both countries, to support this endeavor. So this project this pilot study had two different main phases. The first one was about working with the community to identify what were the cultural values and the needs in the community through participatory design process, and using always design as a catalyst. The second part was kind of implementing Edit all the way through, empowering the community through the design build project. And this design project has two different areas. The first one that was the benches that we're going to show today, and the second one is the pavilions that they are under construction right now. Started the participatory design, identifying community stakeholders and community members that will represent their community very well. We reach out to teachers, the fisherman community, the elders, athletes, the native indigenous community of the Caribbeans, and the youth, and we asked at least 5 member representations from each of these groups. With them, we did a series of activities that we're going to cover very briefly now. The first one was called Frame It, and the idea was we gave them cameras and we asked them to frame their favorite parts of their town, as much as the challenges and the worries and the needs that they have within their community. Mentioned before, this effort has two main phases. The first phase was mainly with the objective of amplifying the voices of the community and produce a design that was the result of that participatory collaboration with the community and with the locals. The second phase was the construction of the project. Right now, we just finished the 7 part of the project, and the last one, the pavilions, are under construction. We're going to talk today about what we have done the first 7 phases. That we asked the community to work with us was a 4A exercise that is an ethnographic study that has kind of 4 main elements. The first one is asking the community who are the actors, who are the people that will be using the space, right? And then we will ask them, okay, what are the activities that these people, these actors will be doing? And then what are the artifacts that they would need to perform the activities that they identify? And eventually, what is the atmosphere that the collection of these actors doing these activities using these artifacts will create in the space? This ethnographic study has many different names, IAOU, poems, they all talk about the same things. From that activity, something that we discovered was that there were main landmarks that the community identified themselves with, like the church, the trade spot for the fishermen, the school, and the liquor store. With the elders, we didn't include the youth and the children in this particular activity, but with the elders and the teachers, we also look at the Swot Matrix, trying to identify where were the strengths within the community, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. Within the strengths, it was the vibrancy of the community, the joy, the music, the notion of coming together, that like most places in Venezuela and in most South America right now, weaknesses are many, from crime to lack of morale, and this notion of feeling that they are trapped within their future, but also basic things like not having running water every day or not having electricity every day. The opportunities that they expressed that this project was probably their best opportunity right now. And within the strength, they emphasize this notion that they are a fisherman community and that the community comes together.
The site that we selected is right in front of. The site that we selected is located on the bay, right in front of one of the most important piers in Venezuela, where the boat at the Youth Margarita Island is located. From these studies, we were told by the community that they have some problems with electricity, water, and also they told us how they use their houses as informal stores, as well as they use the streets as their patios, and they gather as a family. One of the nice stories that one of the youths mentioned is how they take these streets and they close it to make one of kind of like a big party. They dance, they put music, they gather, and they enjoy that the street becomes more than just a street for cars. It's kind of like a stage. This is a graphic where we summarize some of the things that we understood from this activity, where we have the water collection, the electricity, the use of the streets, and also the informal stores from their houses. From this activity, also, we were informed of the importance of the fishermen on the community and how they were impacted by the gasoline issues in the country. Also, the importance of bringing the net to the community, how they gather as one to be able to do that. From this activity, we noticed some of the formal places where they can sell or the informal places, but we also noticed that there is a need for a place to sell or to trade some of the goods that they collect or they do on the community. Here we see the summary of these, the boats on the sea, on the bay due to the gasoline shortage, as well as the informal and formal selling of these fishes and goods that happen there. Based on the data that we gathered from the participatory design activities, we understood the connection between the Caribbean waving techniques as well, and the connection between the fishing net waving technique. Also, the typical dance scare movement with the way that the sea wave move. And we use this as a concept for this design. From this activity, we also gathered the programming of these plays. we selected, or we were told by the community that they needed a space, a playground, the market. Later, we connected the concepts, the inspiration concepts that I mentioned before with this programming. And then we came up with this design that they have different layers to this program. We have the market on the front, we have the playground on the center, and then we have local stores near the beach. Here we can see the fisherman market on the front, as well as on the center we have the playground that is an all ages playground that welcomes everyone on the community. This is a message that we got from one of the community leaders that helped us connect with the community. And I will translate for you.
Ay, Oriana, fue una experiencia linda, linda, linda. Me hiciste llorar con ese video. No tengo palabra, hija, de verdad. Mira, cuenta conmigo, con Dina, para lo que sea. Oíste, te quiero mucho.
Zuleika and Dina, they were community leaders, as I mentioned. What she's basically saying is that it was a really good experience. We can count on them for anything that we do in the future with this project. This was given to us during one of the participatory design events on the community.
So as we mentioned before, this main project has, the project has two main phases. With the conclusion of what Ariana presented, we finished the phase one, that was the schematic design based in the data analysis. And then we go again into asking, okay, how do we go back to move the knowledge of what we gather and how we translate it into design experiences, and how do we use this to empower the community, this building with them. And again, the idea was how to continue moving the knowledge of these best practices of participatory design build to empower the community, that it was very well established in the University of Tennessee with the University of Oriente. So at the very beginning, we found our partners with a local university. The two professors on the top of the screen on the two sides are Sonia Garcia and Oriana Venti, who were the two faculty members who decided to continue working with this project, to start working in this project with us and continue the torch, or passing the torch of building in the site with their students. And the rest of the people in this group were also students from engineering. From this second phase that we started, one of the things that became like a first challenge or a first opportunity somehow was that the water polo team asked us if we could move this proposal to a site that they have, that they were in need of a place for shading and to host competitions for the, not only for the water polo games, but also for the rowing team. And that was the first phase, was to go back to this, to the schematic drawings and to develop drawing on this new site, working with structural engineering. The new site was introduced to us by the water polo team. We work with engineering students and the architectural students to do the survey of the lot and to rethink how we will be adapting and reusing the original schematic design into this one. And with that kind of force us to kind of move and break the schematic design into 3 smaller pavilions. And you can see that we continue to design virtually with us in the United States and the rest of the team in Venezuela with faculty and students. So we started this notion of empowering the community with building these benches that we proposed in the site. For us, was we acknowledged from the very beginning that there will be a part of the construction that will require skilled labor, another part that it could be done with the community. So we organized these training opportunities that was about building the benches with an airship technique that is basically using old tires and compacted dirt and then apply a layer of stucco on top. And this was something that we felt that it could engage the youth and the students and everyone to at least start having this catalytic for change. Part of the challenge that we have when we started working with the community was the skepticism that we were related to a political party. It was about to be election time, and many times, like in many underserved communities, universities come to kind of offer help and services and so forth, but then everyone checks out once the semester checks out. And building these benches with the community was a way of saying that we were here and we were committed to the project. We also organized kind of a second phase of participatory design. And this particular case was to design the collages for the mosaics that will go into the benches. And we engage our youth. I mean, something very interesting about this particular community is that these kids, they don't go to school. Their parents don't expect them to go to school. And basically, they are mostly all day in the water and in the neighborhood. Through these activities, they started to be inquisitive and responsible, and now they all want to go to school, they all want to become architects, but knowing that they were experiencing for them, that they were part of the design process, that they were the drawings that eventually they kind of got materialized and immortalized in the benches, was a very sense of pride and ownership with these objects. Another activity that we did with them was like, okay, as we just finished with the benches, we were pouring the foundations and say, okay, the park is happening. How should we name this space? And therefore, the professors in Venezuela organized another participatory activity to name the project. Another activity that we did to kind of engage the youth and kind of explain them how an architectural process goes was to translate the two-dimensional drawings of the construction drawings into a 3D model. And this is the model that basically the kids were able to translate from the CDs. So, part of the question was like, okay, how do we, there is this service learning project that is what we do within the classroom, but how this type of work impacts and transform our students when they are working with the community. So this is how the project is right now. We just finished pouring the slabs foundations, and we are about to start welding the porticos. Our first phase of construction was with the benches, but we kind of were able to move a little bit ahead of a schedule. This presentation was more about the participatory design process, but we wanted to share with you how the entire process, the participatory design, continue even though we were making with them. It didn't stop before the schematic design. But we also wanted to measure the impact of these service learning projects to the architectural engineering students who participated on it. The first question that we asked them was, what is it that they learned through this activity? And their answers are in Spanish, but you have on the left all the hard skills and on the right all the soft skills. You could tell that they talk a lot more about all the soft skills that are required for almost, and ideal for almost all employers, like working in teams, working with the communities, commitment, empathy, collegiality, acceptance, tolerance, innovation, organization, helping others, and empowerment. We also asked them what was it that they liked the most. And again, all the answers are in Spanish, but you could tell that, again, the soft skills and the soft experiences were much more important than the hard experiences. And among the soft ones, they expressed working with the youth, learning, sharing what they know, the creative process, the feeling of belonging, the feeling of achievement, see the children and their happiness, the significance of the project, the ability to leave a positive mark, and many other things. Another interesting fact that was when we asked them what they would like to see repeated in other projects, the majority of the answers responded everything. Like they felt that the project was strong with how it impacted the students, the community, the youth in the community, as well as the faculty members and us in the United States. Then we also wanted to see, okay, is there a part of this project or this process that was weak or something that we have to give that they couldn't learn because we were prioritizing another one. And we basically have three main areas. The first one was knowledge in technical construction. The second one was the knowledge in logistics of how to carry out the project from ideation all the way to fabrication. And the third one was this notion of participatory design processes. And in the three areas, the overall answers were very satisfactory with what they learned. So to the response of how a service learning project can improve communities, I think that is very clear that in this case, not only improve the community, but it was a lifelong transformation for our students, for the students in architecture and engineering. And we hope that we can meet with you next year to show you this project complete. Thank you. If you have information, feel free to email me or to follow us on Instagram.